Someone is testing you right now. Maybe you know who it is. Maybe you don't yet. But somewhere in your life, at work, at home, in your circle, someone has already decided to see what you'll tolerate, how far they can push, whether you have a line, whether that line actually means anything. And the way most people respond to that test, they fail it, loudly, desperately, every time. Not because they're weak, because nobody ever showed them what passing looks like. Machiavelli spent his entire life studying power, who has it, who loses it, and exactly why. And the pattern he found, repeated across every court, every kingdom, every relationship he ever examined, was always the same. Respect is never given, it is only ever established. And today, across 7 precise, cold, psychologically grounded strategies, we are going to establish yours. Welcome to Machiavellian Mind. Today we are going in deep on one of the most loaded topics there is: how to handle people who don't respect you. And I want to be upfront about something before we begin. There is a version of this conversation that is just hype, just aggressive talk about becoming untouchable and making your enemies tremble. And look, I understand the appeal. When you've been disrespected, you want to feel powerful again. That content feels good in the moment, but it doesn't actually change anything, because it never goes beneath the surface. What we're going to do today is different. We're going to go into the psychology of why disrespect happens, why it hurts, and specifically, what you actually do at each stage of it. 7 ways. Each one builds on the last, and, by the end, the final one will reframe everything that came before it. Machiavelli understood something that most modern self-help refuses to say out loud. The world does not automatically reward the good, the honest, or the kind. It rewards those who understand power and use it with precision. This is that conversation. Let's begin. Before the 7 ways, we need to understand one thing. Disrespect is almost never random. It is a test, whether the person doing it is conscious of it or not. When someone disrespects you, they are running a calculation. They are checking. What can I get away with here? Where are this person's limits? Do they have any? This is primal. It predates language. Animals do it, children do it, constantly. With parents, teachers, each other, every social hierarchy that has ever existed has been negotiated through exactly this kind of testing. So the first thing to remove from your mind is the idea that you were randomly targeted. You were tested. Everyone gets tested. The difference between people who get tested once and people who get tested over and over, forever, is entirely about what they communicate when it happens. Most people communicate that they can be moved, that their inner stability is affected, that the disrespect landed and did damage. And once someone knows that, consciously or not, they have a lever. And people use levers. What we are building today, across these 7 ways, is a person who communicates something different. Not aggression, not a wall, something subtler and far more powerful. Groundedness, the unspoken signal that says, you can try this, but it won't take you anywhere. That signal, once established, does more work for your reputation than anything you could ever say about yourself. All right, 7 ways. Let's go. The most instinctive response to disrespect is sound. You want to say something. Your body wants to produce a reaction, words, volume, speed, that proves you are not okay with what just happened. I understand that impulse completely. It feels like justice. It feels like standing up for yourself. But here is what it actually is. It's proof that they moved you. And proof that they moved you is the only thing they were looking for. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who reacts to every slight will eventually lose his throne. Not because of any one reaction, but because every reaction is a data point. Every reaction tells someone watching exactly how to control you. Here's the psychology underneath silence that most people miss. When you respond with silence to an attack, a real silence, not a stunned pause, but a deliberate, present, unreadable quiet, you create a vacuum. And the human brain in a conflict is terrified of a vacuum. The attacker expected resistance. They prepared for your reaction. They had their next move ready based on what you were going to say. When you say nothing, their prepared move has nowhere to go. The momentum they built hits a wall of nothing, and it comes back on them. Suddenly they are the one feeling exposed. Suddenly they are the one in the silence which they created, which is now staring back at them. You will watch them start to fill it. They will speak again. They will qualify what they said. They will look for a reaction, any reaction, to confirm that the power dynamic they assumed exists actually does. Give them nothing. This is not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. This is the silence of someone who has decided this situation does not merit their words. There is a difference, and people feel it. The next time something happens that provokes you, before you respond, take 3 deliberate breaths, not to calm down, to give yourself the gift of choosing your response instead of just producing one. Here is a truth that sounds simple, but most people never actually apply. Your time and presence are the most finite resources you possess. You cannot get more hours. You cannot manufacture more energy, and every person you allow into your orbit is drawing from those resources, either adding to them or draining them. Someone who has disrespected you has told you in the clearest possible language how they view those resources of yours. They view them as cheap, available, not worth treating carefully. The appropriate response to that information is not anger, it is not confrontation, it is adjustment. You, quietly, calmly, without drama or announcement, reduce their access to you. You don't explain why. You don't send a message saying, after what you did, I'm pulling back. That announcement turns removal into a performance, and you'll spend the next week managing their reaction to your reaction, which is exhausting and pointless. You simply become less available, less present, less engaged. This is not pettiness. This is not the silent treatment designed to punish them. This is self-governance. You are managing your most valuable resources, your time, your attention, your loyalty. The same way a serious business manages capital. You don't keep investing in a partnership that has demonstrated it doesn't value the investment. Now, here's what happens when you do this cleanly, without drama. The person notices. They always notice. And the absence, your absence, communicates something that no argument could. It communicates that access to you is not guaranteed, that your presence in someone's life is conditional on how they treat it. Scarcity creates value in every market that has ever existed. The same law applies here. When you are always available, always forgiving, always absorbing, always willing to let it slide, you train people to treat you as bottomless, unlimited, cheap. When you are selective, when your presence is something that can be lost, people recalibrate without you having to ask them to. Do not announce. Do not explain. Do not make it a production. Simply adjust and let the adjustment speak. I want to talk about something that sounds obvious, but almost nobody actually does. The single most devastating response to someone who underestimated you is to become someone they could never have imagined, not to prove them wrong, not to wave your success in their face, not to post about it online hoping they'll see, just to become it. Quietly, relentlessly, completely. Here's why this is more powerful than any confrontation. When someone disrespects you, they are making a prediction. They are saying, consciously or not, this person is beneath me. This person's ceiling is lower than mine. The most complete and permanent way to destroy that prediction is to simply outlive it. Success has a long memory, and so do people. The person who dismissed you, if you rise, will carry that memory, not you reminding them of it, not you bringing it up. They will carry it themselves. Every time your name comes up, every time they see evidence of your work, they will be standing in the shadow of the bet they lost. That is a weight they give themselves. You don't have to put it on them. Machiavelli understood that the wise strategist does not waste resources fighting battles that don't expand his kingdom. Every ounce of energy spent in anger, in resentment, in plotting small revenges, that is energy not going into your actual work. The question is not, how do I make them pay? The question is, what does the best version of me look like in 5 years? And what am I doing today to build that person? They told you they don't believe in you. Noted, now go somewhere they can't follow. Obsession with your craft is the most Machiavellian act available to you, because it compounds, and it does damage to the people who underestimated you, without you ever having to look back. I want to introduce you to the most underrated concept in all of power strategy: rope. When someone disrespects you, every instinct says to respond, to strike back, to correct the record immediately before the damage spreads. Resist this, because the person who just disrespected you is not done. They never are. People who treat others with contempt, who dismiss, who belittle, who operate from arrogance, do not reserve that behavior for you. It is their character. It is how they move through the world. And given time, given space, given the false confidence of having gotten away with it once, they will keep doing it. To you, to others, in front of the wrong people, at the wrong moment. And when that happens, and it will happen, you do not want to be the person who already launched an attack, because then the story is two people in a conflict, complicated, muddied. He said, she said. You want to be the person who said nothing, who waited, who stood composed while the other person walked themselves off a cliff they built with their own hands. That contrast is everything. People are always watching, even when it doesn't look like it. And what they are watching for, consciously or not, is character under pressure. Your patience is visible. Your composure is visible. Your refusal to descend is visible. And when their behavior finally becomes undeniable to everyone around them, you will be remembered as the person who already knew, who never needed to say it, who let the truth arrive on its own schedule. Justice delivered through patience is absolute, because nobody can question it. Nobody can call it motivated by personal grievance. The evidence speaks. You never had to. Give them rope. Step back. Watch. 7 ways. But honestly, they are one thing expressed. 7 different ways. They are all pointing at the same shift. From a person whose stability depends on how the world treats them, to a person whose stability comes from somewhere the world cannot reach. That shift does not happen in a single video. It does not happen overnight. But it starts with understanding. It starts with seeing clearly what was actually happening in those moments that hurt you. What was being tested. What you were communicating back. And once you see it, you start moving differently. The room feels differently. The people who used to test you start, slowly, without quite knowing why, treating you differently. Not because you demanded it, because you stopped needing it. That is what commands respect. Not the loudest voice, not the most aggressive stance, the quiet certainty of a person who already knows who they are. If something in this video landed for you, if it touched something that you've been carrying for a while, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below. Not a slogan, not a performance. Just tell me the one thing from today that actually hit. That conversation in the comments, that's what this channel is really about. If you're new here, and this is the kind of conversation you've been looking for, subscribe. Every video on this channel is built the same way. No filler, no hype for its own sake. Just the real psychology of power, influence, and self-mastery, delivered as directly as I know how. I will see you in the next one.